The continent that lectures the world on stability is the most politically fragile it has been since the 1930s, and no one is talking about it. For decades, the global order rested on a simple assumption: that Western Europe was the bedrock of the democratic project. It was the wealthy, predictable, and immovable anchor of the West. But as we move through 2026, that anchor has been cut loose. The three engines of the European plane, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, are all failing at the exact same time. This isn't a standard economic downturn or a routine change of guard. This is a synchronized collapse of authority. We are witnessing the death of the European mandate. In the United Kingdom, the honeymoon for Keir Starmer didn't just end, it evaporated. After years of conservative chaos, Labour promised a return to service. Yet they have found themselves trapped in the same structural cage as their predecessors. The British public, exhausted by a decade of stagnant real wages and a healthcare system on life support, has realized that changing the person at the top doesn't fix a broken machine. Starmer's government is currently presiding over a mandate so thin it is practically transparent. With populist movements on the right surging in the polls and internal revolts over fiscal policy, London has become a capital of paralysis. The UK is no longer an island of stability. It is a cautionary tale of what happens when a nation runs out of both money and patience. Across the channel, the situation in France is even more explosive. Emmanuel Macron, the man who once styled himself as a Jupiterian leader, is now a prisoner in the Élysée Palace. His gamble on snap elections backfired spectacularly, leaving France with a National Assembly that is effectively a circular firing squad. On one side, a surging hard right, on the other, a radical left coalition, and in the middle, a president with no path forward. France is the second largest economy in the Eurozone, yet it is currently ungovernable. Every attempt at reform is met with street protests or legislative deadlocks. France isn't just a country in a slump. It is a nation where the executive branch has lost the ability to actually execute. Then there is Germany, the supposed powerhouse of the continent. But the powerhouse is out of fuel. Friedrich Merz took the helm of a fractured nation, inheriting the wreckage of a failed industrial model that relied on cheap energy and open trade. Now, Merz is struggling to hold together a coalition that is being pulled apart by the extremes. The rise of the AfD and the far left has turned German politics into a minefield. The German engine is stalling, and without a functional government in Berlin, the entire European Union is headless. When Germany stops moving, the continent stops breathing. This brings us to the impossible balancing act. The big three are caught in a trap of their own making. They are expected to lead the charge in funding the defense of Ukraine and rebuilding their own depleted militaries, yet they're doing so with zero public support and empty treasuries. How do you tell a population struggling with a cost of living crisis that their tax euros must go to tank factories and foreign aid? You can't. This is the trifecta of paralysis: stagnant GDP, record high debt, and a populist surge that views the establishment as an enemy. It is a mathematical impossibility masquerading as a political strategy. The most terrifying part is the blind spot. Global markets are currently acting with a level of complacency that borders on the delusional. Investors are pricing in business as usual, assuming that the institutions of Europe are too big to fail. They're ignoring the very real risk of a total government collapse that would paralyze the EU and NATO from within. If the big three cannot pass budgets, they cannot lead. If they cannot lead, the Western alliance has no core. The financial fallout is already bubbling beneath the surface. We are seeing the European dream hit a hard, concrete wall. The euro, once a symbol of unity, is looking increasingly like a liability. European defense giants like Rheinmetall and BAE Systems are being asked to scale up while their home governments sit on the edge of insolvency. Even the luxury sector, the crown jewel of European exports, is shuddering as the domestic middle class vanishes. This is the end of the era of certainty. The institutions that were built to prevent a repeat of the 20th century's darkest days are now being hollowed out by the very people they were meant to serve. The engines are failing. The altitude is dropping. And while the world looks elsewhere, the heart of the West is quietly breaking apart.